Hello everyone, it's Andy Glenn here, welcoming you all to another Sharks TV podcast. It's a kind of mid-close season special and it's Martin Grubb. Martin, how are you doing?
Good, Andy, how are you?
I enjoyed the holidays, it's quite good, but I have to say I'm missing hockey big time.
Yeah, it's just different, isn't it? Like, I know the Euros are on right now and it might take quite a few people's attention, and I quite enjoy watching, obviously, the football, but it's not quite the same without getting everybody together here at the tank and just that friendly atmosphere, I guess you miss it.
It is. You miss your pals at the rink and meeting everybody, and there's an excitement, and I guess because we didn't make the playoffs, it feels like forever for me. But I guess you've still been busy during the close season?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the close season is busier than the season. I know it sounds a bit mad, but the season you kind of feel you're almost in routine because you know when you're practicing, you know when you're playing, and then the kind of video and everything else in between. So you're almost, you go into autopilot and you just live by routine in the season. In the closed season, you've got, there's meetings, there's phone calls and lots of them. And for myself, I add into the mix that the GB camps have started again. So, there's been already 2 or 3 trips to Sheffield with that side of the work. So, it's busy. You've also then got to try and spend some time with the family and friends. So you mix all of that in, but I guess that's the job, right? You wouldn't have it any other way because you're still trying to build something. You're still trying to keep your finger on the pulse. You're going to make sure it's one of them. I was saying that to Craig the other day, that when you turn the phone off for too long, you might miss the contact you've been trying to get a hold of. So you've got to kind of keep that stuck to your ear. So it's busy, but hopefully it'll all be worth it in the end.
Well, I'm interested to see if you're going to be able to share some of those meetings, phone calls, and all the other things you've talked about, just so that we can keep the fans informed of where we are in the close season. Because as I look at it now, if I look on Elite Prospects, we've got 10 Sharks named and in place. The only new name is netminder Jordan Marr. That was a big signing. Arsenal was a big signing, but getting all these guys back and getting everybody settled early on, they're all big signings, really, aren't they? To get those core group of people back.
Yeah, I mean, I think any team, you look around the league, you don't see many teams signing 5, 6, 7 new guys. You never do. You always see that the retention of people's core is always the first job. And then, of course, every team, I'm no different as a coach. Every team, every club, every coach is looking to try and upgrade in certain positions. Now, again, without disrespect to anybody, I think we've done that in the goaltending position. I don't think there's for me, there's no argument there. We had 2 goalies who were, Callum was brand new to the league. Curtis, again, done a good job for us, but he had never really played that 40, 50, 60 games as a starting goalie. And I think we knew as a management team we needed to be better at the back end. And obviously we've done that with a guy with a pedigree of winning trophies, a playoff winner last year, a proven, experienced veteran goaltender that still got some really good years ahead of him, and it'll be great for us. So bringing Marzi in was massive for us. The retention of Stentz and Kell were big for us, and obviously announced, and then it was, I think both, you've seen it online, the fans were kind of desperate, and obviously in a good way for Olivier to come back. And behind the scenes we had already opened the discussions, but you've got to give Olivier the time to go home and see his friends and see his family and just decompress from his first season abroad and kind of first season of pro hockey. And ultimately with any player, they've got to decide what they want to do. I guess you can't, I suppose the message, without it being a negative one, is you can't sign a player that doesn't want to be here. You could throw everything and anything at them, but they don't want to be, whether it be in the UK or whether it, moving from another team to here, or, even just coming back, if it was a guy we wanted back, the player ultimately still has to want to play and play for us. So you've got to give players a bit of time whilst maintaining your kind of close relationship with them, and that's obviously what happened with Olivier. We had some good chats, and to be fair to the big man, he made it clear before he left that if he was coming back to this league, he wanted to play here, and he knew we wanted him to be here, and he knew how much he was loved here, especially by our supporters. So that one again is a big one. Offensively, again, we've retained some big players. I think we get a totally different Mason next year. I think we get a full season, pre-season included from Cali. I think I'm getting Younger back, and announced last week, was again another guy who got better as the season went on, and he's versatile. And obviously there's more to come, as we know, right? There's, as you say, there's 10 guys on announced, so there's obviously more to come, and there will be a mixture. I know people are looking for all these new signings, but there'll be a mixture of both. You have to retain your core first, though.
I think that's right. Everybody watching this will be going, yeah, but we've got to replace Struan and Ross and Craig Peacock and all these sorts of players, and everybody's desperate to know who that is. I guess it's a case of being patient on that. And I'll talk to you about that in a wee minute, but if I can go back to the goalkeeping situation and the likes, I mean, if you look at the statistics for last year, there was a percent between Big Cal and Curtis, much the same. You look at Jordan's stats, he's about 5% better. I'm going to ask you, is that down to just the goalkeepers, or is it a case of the defence of Peterborough was perhaps a bit better than ours? Is it a case of the goalkeeper will really shore up the amount of goals that we're going to concede? Or is it a combination of both? I think I know the answer, but I'm asking you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a combination. I guess you look at, right off the bat, Peterborough an experienced team.
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan himself's an experienced goalie, but they're an experienced team.
And cup winners.
We're experienced players. I mean, yeah, the season before they were coming in as cup winners. The season past there, obviously they've won the playoffs. So, and their building as well. It's it's a smaller, tighter building. It's a lot of people will tell you that, including Peterborough players, it's not the best place to play.
It's horrible.
It's a tough place to play. So, they knew as a very well established National League team, they knew how to play in this league. Slava's a very good coach, so they're always going to be well structured and organised. So we then, on the flip side, come in with a shorter pre-season to a new level that, yes, we were all excited and we all knew that we would eventually compete in there, but already our goalies and our team as defensively as a team, we're behind the 8 ball with the first 6-7 games. We all know it certainly wasn't the results we wanted. People were acclimatising to the league. Some guys were acclimatising to the town, and some guys were acclimatising to the country. So, I think if you maybe look from, let's say, November, early December to the end of the season, I think our numbers would be as good as anybody's. Maybe better than some of the teams, but it was definitely a combination of, could we have been better defensively, penalty kill, and could our goalies have been better? Everybody will look at themselves and say yes. But on the flip side, I don't think it was anywhere as bad as it could have been.
Power plays at the start of the season really killed us. I mean, those first 6-7 games, when you look back at those games, the difference was power plays to the opposition, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and it was, when I review a lot of it, and I've looked at a lot of video, we weren't really doing anything different to when we got into our groove a little bit and we were much better on the PK. But it was the speed of things that I think took some guys by surprise, and little details. In the dressing room early in the season, I said, even for example, I think it was maybe the second weekend that we played the Steel Dogs, and I think it was a 1-goal game. And I just thought we got out NIHL, I called it at the time, where the little details in that league that makes teams successful, and special teams is one of them, but just little stick details, little battles, knowing how to play in certain parts of the game, knowing even just as simple as sometimes, especially on the road, knowing the officials, knowing kind of what was going to get called, what wasn't going to get called. It was all little learning experiences. And obviously the plan is to not have that happen from day one, because I guess, without putting extra pressure on ourselves, there's no excuses this time. We don't have this unknown. We're going into a league that will now be a second-year team. Yes, I know there's no guarantees that everybody is going to improve, but I'm a pretty confident person and a confident coach that I can tell you they will improve. So our core, our players will be better. Our structure will be better. We'll have learned from things. So we're putting hopefully some announcements soon, but we're putting more into pre-season and again more time and a little bit of detail that we need to make sure we hit the ground running this time. So, and that's credit to the management team and obviously John as the owner. So yeah, and to go back to the original question, is it just down to goalies? No, like it's very simple. When we lose the puck, we have to be better as a team defensively, and it's just the same as when we get possession of the puck. We have to be better as a group from front to back, offensively as well. So I think the only thing I would say that Jordan has, again, as I've just said earlier, no slight on the goalies we had, but he has a massive amount of experience, the ups, the downs, the peaks and the troughs of him personally playing well or maybe going through some slumps. And he's a proven winner. So we have that leadership, the calmness, and maybe just a little bit more confidence in the back end that he's proven that he can make the big saves at the big times. And I know that already him and Callum are in constant communication. They're excited to work with each other. I know Jordan's excited to be pushed by Cal. Cal's excited to work with Jordan and try and push him. And obviously none of them are settling for, he'll play all the games. So I think already we're seeing some of the benefit of just bringing a veteran guy in. The fans are excited. As a staff, we're excited. And, I guess for the three goalies, because you've got Logan there who'll learn massive amounts like he did last year. Hopefully our goaltending department will be better.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking of goalkeeping departments and Jordan. A message to everybody in Dumfries. If you've got a wee house or a wee flat to rent, Jordan and his family are still looking for a place. So, you know what? Just get in contact with me or Martin and we'll pass any details on. If you know of a place in Dumfries, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's kind of tough rental market in a small town like this. And myself and Katie have been in contact. I know Owen, to be fair to him, has been in contact with Valine, trying to help as much as we can to get them a place first and foremost and up and settled. So, yeah, if there is people out there, any help would be greatly appreciated, and a lovely family that are going to look after anybody's rental property as if it's their own. So,
absolutely,
yeah, help would be appreciated.
So we were talking earlier on about other players that we're going to have to bring in. What I forgot to say, of course, McGill's away as well, so we need a replacement for them. So you're looking at 4 or 5 new signings, and this is the bit where fans are going to go, right, well, I remember Martin saying it's going to take 2 folk to replace Craig Peacock. When are we going to get names, Martin? When are we going to get names? But I guess it's really difficult because I was kind of thinking about it the other night. Dumfries is a wee place, and it's obviously on the extremes. If you're trying to attract people from Milton Keynes, London, Leeds, Sheffield, some of these big cities, you're going to have to be into your nature, your cycling, your golf, your fishing, and to want to come here. Is it the case sometimes that you identify players and they may perhaps want to play for you as a coach and with a Sharks team, but when they find out actually how far away Dumfries is and the amount of travel they are then subsequently going to do, they go, nah, it's all right, mate, I'll stay where I am?
There's a number of things, yeah, and that could be one of them. I mean, right now, we have been super busy in terms of contact, like everybody, right? You're contacting players that have either played for me. Obviously, Craig and John have been sitting constantly racking their brains of players they've played with or against and contacting people. And we had a set list of targets, and, unfortunately, it's not as easy as me saying, "Oh, this guy's played for me for GB," or this guy's played in the elite league with one of us, or knows one of us, and instantly they're going to come here. And I think what we forget, and the bit that, not just us, but this league probably forgets, is that for the second tier, yes, it's getting better. Yes, it's as professional as we can make it. But probably 95%, maybe higher, have got jobs, day jobs, have got a life. You know, for example, whether you're coming from London, you know, or middle of the country, Midlands, whatever, the chances are you're working.
Family,
You've definitely got a family. You've got some sort of relationship. You know, some people may have their own properties. Some people may still be staying at home, and every team has a budget. We've said it before, right? John, as an owner, tries to make sure this team has as competitive a budget and is run as professionally as possible. And I could sit here hand on heart, and there is nothing bad I could say about that part and say no, the owner says no. Because there will be teams out there in all levels of sport that can't afford it. But it has to work within your budget. And as we said earlier, it has to work for the player. Now, we've had like every team, we've had a few knockbacks. Not because they don't want to play for Solway Sharks, or not maybe because they don't want to play for me, if it's some of the guys I've tried before, but a lot of people are in a really good situation where they are. And like you say, leaving a good situation with a good team, with a good job, who the team are probably looking after you and paying you pretty well, to move out of town, wherever they're living.
It's a risk, isn't it?
It's a risk, and it's sometimes a risk people are not willing to take. You also then have to look at, we've just literally put out a little appeal for Jordan and Verlaine, but anytime you bring somebody in out with a certain area for travel, you've got to get a house. And that's both a cost element, and trying to find one or two or three is never easy. So it's, you know, we will, having said this, it kind of makes it all sound a bit of doom and gloom. We will have new signings announced. We will have a good group of players. We will have a competitive group, a group that we want. And even as I sit here right now, will there be a couple of jokers become available at some point and we can go after them? Yes, I'm pretty sure there will be. But we still go back to this club's philosophy and my own philosophy that it has to be right for the club. It's got to be good people first. It's got to be somebody that wants to be here. And it's got to fit in, because not only as a person but financially, because the one thing I could tell you right now is I won't break the bank for anybody, because this club's long-term sustainability is much more important than a short-term success. And I'm a sports fan. We've had these conversations on previous podcasts. So I understand it from the other side, going, oh, but I really like this guy. I really want my team to sign this guy. And it's the same on departures. I really like this guy. Well, sometimes it's inevitable in sport that you may not get the guys you want, and you may have to lose guys that you really liked. And, you know, going back, you said about Gilsey. Love Gilsey. I was the guy that brought him here. I played for me 2 years with the 20s. You know, I got to know his family really well. I coached his brother years ago. But sometimes when you're true to your philosophy, you've just got to say, do you know what, that's a really good opportunity for you, and good luck, go take it. And with the greatest of respect, and again, you go back to Struan and Peanut, who nobody will ever deny are two of the best servants this club's ever had. Now here's the flip side that people maybe don't think about, that I do have to think about. How did they get their chance? They were young guys, and probably older players moved on, or they maybe overtook them. Now, I'm not saying there's guys here overtaking them and again showing any kind of disrespect, but they made their decision. You know, people will argue till they're blue in the face whether it was right or wrong. But the two boys decided that now was the time, certainly at this level, to step away for various reasons. It opens a door. Now, we've got some really good youngsters here, so it opens a door for them. If we manage to replace from out with, then great. If we don't, there'll also be a lot of young, hungry players going, you know, I can play in the National League. Yep. I can be the next Ross Murray. I can be the next Struan Tonner and be here for the next 15, 16 years if you give me a chance. So it's just getting the balance right. There will be new faces. Have you signed new players that are not being announced yet, or are we still in the process of trying to fill the roster? There is new players not been announced yet, and there are still spots open. Okay. I'm a great believer that you can't I don't think you can just go and sign your group within 2 weeks and then put your phone down. I always like to think that, yes, you've got to get the right people, but somewhere down the line there is always an unexpected player available. And if you fill your group way too quickly and spend all your budget and you go, oh, wish I'd just sat tight for maybe that one diamond out there. So that's where we are. We'll sit tight on a couple and see what becomes available. There's still time for people to drop down the way. And again, I've seen names online, right, that people want, and it's again not to be negative and knock anybody, but I think we know who these people are. Like the players that I think between me and Craig especially, and you throw Dunny into the mix, we've got a lot of knowledge, a lot of contacts, but sometimes it's impossible to get these guys. I know there's been some guys that I've seen this, we should sign this guy. Again, I don't like talking about other teams' players, but let's use Johnny, for example, since he's been here before. Johnny's playing in the Elite League, full-time. Mark Lefebvre in Dundee is this summer said he will play penalty kill and power play. So we've done a little part of our job in helping Johnny get to that situation.
Him, yeah.
And Johnny's a fantastic hockey player, a fantastic young man who is in a great spot right now. So you can't sign that guy. You can ask, but the chances of the answer being yes are slim.
We've talked about this before. We've all got our favourite players and we all would like them to come and play. But it's just because we really like that 100%. Player. It's not necessarily a logical move for those players.
If I or us as a club, if we were sitting here playing fantasy hockey with Scottish-based players especially, like what a team you'd have.
Yeah.
But we all know that realistically, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. They've got to, as you said earlier, they've got to want to play for us.
They've got to want to play, they've got to be able to fit into the...
It would, if you're looking at McBean just now, it would be a step backwards for the laddie. He's on an upward trajectory, isn't he?
He's got to... I think the one thing for someone like Johnny, for example, he's got to try. Like he's got
an opportunity, hasn't he?
He's got to try and see if he can become a full-time, regular shift impact guy in that league. Because at his age, time's on his side.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work for him, then I'm sure Johnny and his family, because obviously we know Ivor and the family, they'll then look at what's best for Johnny.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure we would be in any conversation at that stage if at any point, not just, and again, apologies to Dundee if you're offended by this, but it's not just about, it's just because Johnny had played here that we're using him as an example. And it's the same when you look at, let's look at Leeds. Ryan's not out there signing 5 and 6 new guys.
Yeah, it's 1 or 2, isn't it?
And people might say, well, they've won the last 2 years. But on the flip side, they could knee-jerk a little bit from losing the playoff final and losing the cup and go, we need a clear out. Well, no, he's getting these core guys because he also knows a very experienced coach and a very well-run club now that, people don't just move left, right and centre. And when they're in a good spot,
but they're also getting 2,000 fans a week and huge numbers of season tickets. So you kind of alluded to it earlier on. You can really look after the players, your core players that you want. And why would they move to another area? Because every move's a risk, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately, some people need a change. Some people will move. And as I said earlier, it's not for the want of us, especially in every club, every team, every supporter. Not every coach, if I'm honest, but from my own point of view, everybody wants a couple of really big names,
of course,
to excite people. But if they're available, what I can say, when we talked about will we get any exclusives, etc. If there's a big player out there, any player out there that fits this club, and we can make a move, we will. But I can't sit here and say that we're going to sign all of them, because you can only do what you can do to the best of your ability to open a door and try and sell your club and whatever budget and finances you've got, or whatever the area is, or everybody's personal situation is different. I can tell you that we're in a good spot and I'm not going to be playing, so there's your exclusive, right?
Okay.
I don't have to put my kit on after all these years, so we're not in a bad spot, Andy. And I'm pretty sure by the end of the summer we'll still be competitive, we'll still be better than we were last year, and we'll be ready to go.
So some names over the next few weeks, is that what we're hoping for?
Well, the gaffer's in Germany right now.
I noticed.
If you've seen him on the telly.
Saw him on the telly enjoying himself.
Rubbing shoulders with the Scottish bigwigs. I know Craig and John are working really hard up in Glasgow, and I'm on the phone to them most days. And to be fair to John, even from Germany, the text and the groups back and forward. So I would think that there'll still be some steady flowing of news, whether it be players, whether it be at some point pre-season, and various other kind of parts of the business that we need to get out to the fans. There'll definitely be a steady stream. I've no doubt there, and ultimately we'll still be working as hard as we can behind the scenes to make the right signings to replace guys, to add to our group, and ultimately to make sure when the puck drops in, it's August now, so I always just say September, but we're starting a bit earlier.
8 weeks.
That we'll be ready, right? And we will be ready. As I say, I have no doubt that automatically we will be a better team based on last year's ups and downs. And then, it's down to me and the staff and the players to make sure that we improve on that. But I don't sit here worried or overthinking what we have to do or what we might do or what somebody else will do. We could just look after ourselves and make sure that our team, our structure and everything about us is right to be ready to compete.
Well, I'm kind of hopeful that if Scotland do get knocked out on Sunday, John's going to be back next week, and I want to interview him and see what's happening with things like fixtures and all the rest of it. Any idea when they're coming out? Just now that you're here?
There was a league meeting just before, not long before John went. There was a league meeting, but I think there was a little bit of time after that for teams to go back and digest kind of some of the suggestions in that meeting and check with our rinks. I mean, we're lucky; we can check with our rink very early on what available ice is there, etc. So some of the other teams may not be quite as lucky to get it done as early. So I would probably, if I'm a betting man, I'm looking at probably July, early July. I would like to think, because
just hopeful that we can get some nice double headers away, because we were very accommodating last year.
I think ultimately, having spoke to the league, from John, who obviously attends the majority, if not all, of the meetings, and then us as a management group, we're going to have, and the league know that, we're going to have to do similar to last year, where there's a women's world championship coming here. There's, I think the curling's back and the Trophy of the Cost, which I think it'll be similar to last year, where potentially three home, 3 away, around that. I think the plan that we spoke about before was kind of flipping. So the teams that only played twice here last year will play 3 this year, and vice versa. So a little bit of variation, but yeah, I don't think it'll be too long until some of that news starts trickling out. But John's really shy and he's never been on a podcast before, so just make sure you're gentle. It's
difficult to get information out. Really,
make sure you're gentle with him, because he doesn't like the limelight.
I think that's the good news and the bad news. If the bad news, Scotland get put out the Euros, next week we'll have a John Strange podcast, I'm sure. I'm
surprised
the other side of Scotland qualified. We might not see John again.
I'm surprised he's not making some. Maybe he is. James will be able to tell us. He's probably making some sort of video on the road everywhere he goes, and it will be.
Maybe it'll give us a wee bit of space to make a rules video. I think we should do that.
Like Slapshot. We should do that. It's a good movie.
Jordan, if we can get you a house, he's going to be up doing a bit of acting with us.
And I think that's it, right? There's lots of exciting things that will still be to be announced and still to come from. Not necessarily on the ice, but certainly off the ice. I mean, we all know John well enough now that he's constantly looking at ways to make things better and to make this experience the best fan experience. Let alone that's before we look at the players and everything else. So yeah, I'm pretty sure in his downtime in Germany, he's been looking at what he can do, and if he's been to the games and looking at what's happening in these cities, there's no doubt that he'll have some sort of noisemakers coming back with him, and but all it does is it adds to the atmosphere in here. It adds to the club. So I'd like to say we look forward to hearing about them, but I'll reserve judgment on that.
Well, let's see if I can get them on the podcast next week. We'll see where we go. Martin, I'd just like to say thanks to you, because I know you're really busy just now, and I know you're off to be presenting awards and all sorts of stuff. Guest of honour at Dumfries High School's prize giving tonight.
Junior prize given tonight. So yeah, I'm really honoured actually that they've asked me to go and hand out some prizes, and it'll be nice to help them celebrate the prizes that they're handing out and the young people of the high school. And we'll see how that goes. Hopefully the speech goes down all right and have some fun.
Well, have fun with that, and it's the usual thing before we go. It's a message to everybody that's a fan of the Solway Sharks.
Yeah, again, it's thanks for that support that's been really out there this summer in terms of whether it be social media, the experience of still meeting people in the rink with the Euros being shown here. Continue to preach exactly what I've been preaching and trust the process, trust the management team, get behind the boys. If you can be in a position where you can get a season ticket to help the boys every week and help the club, great. If not, we look forward to seeing you guys when the puck drops, and hopefully as we continue to say, we'll put a team on the ice that you guys can be proud of, and we'll be competitive for day one this year and look to make the targets that we've got, and which is at least the playoffs.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you everyone for watching. Now, you've heard Martin say there's going to be some announcements in the coming weeks. The surefire way to be first to know about that is to like, share and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's where it will be announced first, so do me a favour and do that. But thanks for watching, and this is Andy Glenn saying cheerio.